Hello everyone, in this video we are going to see the concept of palindrome of a string. So you all know that string is a collection of characters, and then here palindrome is a given string is equal to a reverse string that is called as a palindrome. So normally we use the example as madam is a word which is when we repeat reverse also it will be the same thing. So that is a palindrome, example of a palindrome. Okay, so let us see how this C program works to find out the palindrome of a given string. So now here this is the program. It starts with the string.h because we are using the string function here, and then include stdio.h, that is for a standard input output, which is a header file. And the program as usual starts with the main program into main, and then start with the open brace. We are declaring a character array of s of 1000. That means we can have 1000, maximum 1000 of characters in this array. The array name is s. That means you are going to give a string which is whose name is s, and the type is char. And then we are going to find the number of the characters, that is length of the string, and then we are using some variables I and C as integer variables as a counter variable. So declaring all the variables as int and is equal to 0, it is initializing the variables. And now the program starts to get the input, printf enter the string. So the string is input using this function getters of s. So printf just passes the message on the screen to ask the input from the user, and then getters is the function that get a string from a user. So the s is the string, and then n is equal to strlen of s. That means n is the number of elements in the string, which is the string length. So strlen is a built-in function which is used to find the number of characters in the string. That is what strlen of s, which gives the answer as n. Now the for loop starts. How the for loop, as we know that the character array starts with the index 0 and it has to go till n by 2. So here actually we are dividing the string into half, and then we are calculating the first and the last element, then second and the last but one element, and likewise we are comparing the elements one by one to find whether the element is in palindrome or not. So this for loop exactly does the process. If we see the example, we will be able to understand how this for loop works to find out whether the given string is a palindrome or not. So here actually what this if statement does is, and this for loop repeats for all the counter I, which is from 0 to n by 2. N is the length of the string. Suppose the length of the string is 6, it will go till 3. N by 2, 6 by 2 is 3. Likewise, it based upon the number of elements in the length of the string and divided by half. So that means actually we are going to first check up the first half is equal to the second half in the reverse order. That is the logic here. And now how the checking is done? If s of I is equal to, this is a double equal to checking for an relational operator, is equal to s of n minus I minus 1. Okay, so this will check first for the first element and the last element, and then second element and the last but previous element, third element and then n minus 2 element, and so on. So this if is going to continuously check the elements from the front as well as from the rear. That means from the beginning and also from the end. So it is checking for the equivalent of the characters in the first and the last of the given string. And then once it is done, the counter C is incremented as C is equal to C plus 1. This is an increment operator, post increment operator. C is equal to C plus 1. After already C is 0, now C is equal to 1. So one time the work is done, one time the checking is done, now C is equal to C plus 1. It is going to the next time. So the C plus plus is a counter which helps to track the number of times the loop is repeated. That means it helps to check whether the checking is done for all the elements of the string. So that is the use of this C. So here we are checking, no, C is equal to I. I is actually the size length of the loop, that is the number of times the loop is going to repeat. And if C is equal to the number of elements the loop is repeated, means the whole string is checked. It is the meaning here. If C is equal to I means this if statement gives the logic of whether the whole string is checked. If it is checked means that is if both are equal means the string is an palindrome. So yeah, actually we are checking is done over here. Okay, let us see the example to understand the concept easily. So now this for loop checks the element one by one, and then the counter is incremented every time. If C is equal to I means the whole element is checked, and then print the string is a palindrome. Else printf the string is not a palindrome. Okay, now let us see with the example how it is working. Just I have shown the example in a short video how the string is working. Okay, so I have taken the example as a simple example as usual. We take as an madam is the string, and then I have just to give the calculation part to understand how this really the for loop and the if loop works. Okay, and the for loop and the if loop works. So now madam, it is the example string I have taken. Now we are having 5 elements here, M, A, D, A, M. That means the length of the string is madam, and length of string is equal to 5. Okay, so now just we are giving the indexes 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4, and we know that the index of an string starts with the 0 and it ends with the n minus 1. The system always suffixes a /0 character at the end of the string. So now this is how the index is fixed. Now we are going to check whether this 0th element, this is equal to this one. That is what, if S of I is equal to S of n minus I minus 1. That means actually it is S of 0 and then S of 4. I need to check for S of 1 and then S of n minus I minus 2. So likewise this loop repeats. The for loop is repeated for several times, and then it will be able to find out whether the string is an palindrome or not. So now let us start with the checking, and the step 1 is going to just find out the first element m is equal to 0. So how it is found out is the initial step I is equal to 0, and now S of 0 is equal to m. So we know that here this is the index variable here, and this is S of 0. So the first value is equal to m, which is the first letter, and it is checked by S of n minus I minus 1. What is n here? N is 5. What is I? 0. 0 minus 1, that means 5 minus 1 is 4. That means this is going to check between S of 0 and S of 4. Here m is equal to m. So here a character is equal. That means the first and the last are equal, but we cannot stop here. We have to check for all the elements of the array. We cannot assume a string as a palindrome if the first and the last element itself is equal. So first step m is equal to m. This m and this is equal to this m. So it is going to find out the next step. I is equal to 1. So the loop repeats. Now S of 1 is equal to, we are going to check S of 5 minus 1 minus 1. So that is equal to S of 1 is equal to, okay, it is going to check S of 1 is equal to S of 5 minus 1 minus 1, which is 5 minus 1 minus 1 means 5 minus 2, which is S 5 minus 3. So S of 1 is equal to, actually S of 1 is equal to S of 3. So it is going to check whether this element S of 1, this is S of 1 and this is S of 3. We can see the index over here, it is actually S of 1. Okay. So now here in this example, this is S of 1 is A, S of 3 is also A. So A is equal to A. Now so they are equal. So the second step is also, the second element is also equal, just it is true. So then put a tick just to mention it is a true. And now I is equal to I plus 2. Here now I becomes 2. Okay. So when I becomes 2, what is the equation? It will come here, S of 2 is equal to S of 5 minus 2 minus 1. Okay. So which is S of 2 is equal to S of 5 minus 2 minus 1 means 5 minus 3. What is 5 minus 3? It is 2. So S of 2 is equal to S of 2. So we know that S of 2 is here is D. Okay. So here since we are in the there are odd number of ones. Now we are meeting the D as the central element. So here S of 2 becomes S of 2. That's all. That means D is equal to D. So we can see that. So when you write the same in the reverse order also, it will become M A D A M. If we read this way also, M A D A M. This type of string is called as a palindrome. So now here getting the D value. So now we have got all the elements are reverse, and reverse string as well as the given string is same. That means the given string is an palindrome. So since now we are going to just check out whether we have checked all the elements. For that we have to give the counter value if I is equal to C. We have the counter value C from the beginning. So now C is equal to C plus 1. Every time when checking is done, the program says C is equal to C plus plus. So C is equal to 1. In the case I is equal to 1. Okay, because I is in the first step. And then C is equal to 2. I is also is equal to 2. Okay. So initially I is equal to I plus 1. This is the increment in the for loop. This is the increment within the for loop. So always I and C becomes equal. So now we are just checking if C is equal to I. If C is equal to I means we have checked for the whole. That means we have checked for all the elements of the array. If that is the case, we are saying that the given element is a palindrome. If not, the element is not a palindrome. Suppose if you take an example as computer, COMPUTER. First still we can see that first will be C and last will be R. If you reverse, it will going to be a different answer. So this is how the program works. So I am given the input as input, enter the string, madam, the string is an palindrome. I have given one more example. The enter the string computer science, it is not a palindrome. So that's all. This is how the program logic works to find out whether the given string is an palindrome or not. Hope you understood the logic behind this, and thanks for watching.